All right, well, I will get us officially started. So welcome to another Tuesday's Hot Topic. And so I've got a couple little things that I'll throw out to you at the end, but let me, while as others still are coming on, let me remind you that tomorrow we will have, there we go, open that up. So no lunch and learn tomorrow. Everything that we were doing for the lunch and learn, that will be at Ignite. So please remember Ignite. Go. There it is. Okay, it doesn't want to work, but anyway, Ignite. That is on Thursday up at the Genesis Banquet and Conference Center. Lots of great stuff. Some of you know Matthew Ferrara. If you don't, Matthew is absolutely awesome. A great, almost a philosopher of real estate, where you're going to be able to take a whole lot of what he gives and apply it to your business. So know that that's going to be a great day. And I think one of the best parts that we've got is 17 of our peers have volunteered their time to come and share their knowledge, their wisdom, their experience with you. So that will also be a big part of the day on Thursday. So with that, many of you know Ms. Peggy Feltner. She is our commercial leader working out of our office in Lake Orion. Officially there with Coldwell Banker Premier Commercial. Well, it's Coldwell Banker Commercial Premier. And so Peggy's leading that up, and I'm just going to let her take it away. And she's going to do that screen share so that you can all see what she's got for us today. It's all yours, boss.
All right, here we go. So let me just start with, I had prepared a PowerPoint presentation to be added to a listing. And I changed it up a little bit because at Gen Blue, Dan Spiegel and Matt are the leaders of Coldwell Banker Commercial, Coldwell Banker Commercial Marketing, as well as the director of Coldwell Banker Commercial. So I've taken the liberty of taking some of their slides from their breakout session. So Martha, you've seen a little bit of this. This is your second time around, and hopefully it just keeps getting better. So this is a little bit of training on Coldwell Banker Commercial, but also on how you can present who you are and the team that you're bringing to the seller. Of course, we know luxury and we know Coldwell Banker and all the stars that we have there. But then Coldwell Banker Commercial is on the right with all of that high towering office space. I was at an event last Wednesday where our leaders in commercial in the brokerage in our area had several panels, and office is that one area that they are all saying it's kind of scary. A lot of buildings empty, a lot of conversation about that remote back to work, not back to work, all of that. So we'll see how our marketplace does. And then of course you have those that say, oh, just turn them into apartment buildings. Well, it's not really that easy. So Coldwell Banker Professionals and Coldwell Banker Commercial Premier is really that team that I want to talk about during the session. And I'm hoping to have time at the end for questions for everybody. But why the team approach? Now this slide came from Gen Blue, as you can see down on the left-hand side. And you know, what does it really take to service that commercial business? You've got to know what the client requirement is. A lot of overhead doors in industrial, a lot of three-phase power, a lot of zoning issues, a lot of different things that go on in that client requirement. And how do you put the team together to handle that that client? When you look at the speed of trust, many people have relationships with many others, right? That sphere of influence. So when you look at commercial or you think about commercial, it's not a, hey, it's shiny and I can just do that, right? There's a lot more to it. And you can't just jump ship and go do it because NAR says you shouldn't do that, right, Darwin? Like NAR says, focus on what you're good at.
Yeah,
And
as a matter of fact, if I hit it, it is part of the code of ethics. It says when we lack the expertise, that we must involve someone who holds the expertise in that particular area. And the obvious part is for most of us being residential, if we were brand new, it would be our broker / manager. And there's the part where when it comes to switching to the other side, commercial, retail, industrial, that if we are abiding by the code of ethics, if we lack that expertise, we have someone to be able to bring in.
yeah, absolutely. So, and then asking yourself the question, I have this great client, I've been a client for a long time, right, in your heads. And you think to myself, am I risking my reputation if I try to help with this particular deal? So there's a lot of different things there. And together between Coldwell Banker Professionals and Coldwell Banker Commercial, and that's really where we can hit the market strong.
And I don't want to forget our gold crew, because it
We don't.
is cooperatively. I know we've got deals here in Rochester where you're working with agents, and one big one.
A big one. Yep.
So when we speak really of Coldwell Banker, we're really speaking the residential side of HRC Realty, both the blue and the gold.
Yeah, absolutely. And absolutely. This screen is also from Gen Blue. It's that commercial marketplace. And as you drive around, you see a lot of things. So I'm going to question Century 21 Town and Country out of Clarkston. Of this slide in front of us, we probably see NAI Farbman on signs. But in this pyramid, do we see Signature Associates anywhere? No. Do we see Mason Capitani anywhere? No. Do we see Woodworth Commercial anywhere on this? No. We might see Keystone. Oh, you know what? I don't even see Keystone on here. We don't see Mid-America on here. So in that meeting of Century 21 referral, they had used Capitani before, and here's really the difference. A message I really want to drive home today, and that is we are international. We are international reaching. We're professional realtors, and we have what others don't. So that time and place of feeling like we can't really play in this field or in this market or in these types of transactions, that's not even true. At this real estate, it was called RE Journals last Wednesday, there was an aha moment that I had, and it went like this. I was signing out because you get CE credit, and there was a gentleman there by the name of Scott Elliott. Scott Elliott's been in commercial for quite some time, and he saw my badge and he said, "You're with Coldwell Banker Commercial." I said, "Yes, I am." And he said, "I started my career with them." So he started with Coldwell Banker Commercial, went to CBRE, and now he's with Signature Associates. When you think of commercial brokerage that we have to sit across the table with or get our deals across, the table or accepted, you have to be recognized as don't take this offensively whatsoever, resi-mercial. In the 90s, I worked and supported Signature Associates. And I heard daily, oh, they're just a resi-mercial, just blow them off. They're not really, they don't really know what they're doing. So there is a sense out there that you're either a commercial broker or you're not really in the game. So it's exciting. It's exciting to have that Coldwell Banker commercial tag in order to play that game. They begin to take you seriously when you have it. So, and down at the bottom, you can definitely see the different levels. Now, Coldwell Banker Commercial really specializes in that $2 to $10 million transaction area. We'll see, we're getting there, we're growing, right, Darwin?
That's it. Yeah,
We're growing.
absolutely. And yet it's a key portion because that's a key part of the market that will also give you some stability. It's not the extreme highs and extreme lows of working in with the larger commercial type investors.
Yeah, absolutely. So now this is a black and white screen. This is in my master PowerPoint. And when you're talking with that customer in working with them and wanting to get that listing or wanting to service them, this is who we're in line with. And they all recognize it. They all recognize Colliers, they recognize CBRE. Well, we're right there. So they're hiring that pure commercial brand. This slide is where you go ahead and put your name in and you give your credentials of who you are on that team. Now that's that trust, that's that relationship that you're bringing to ensure that the transaction is going to go real well. Now, I saw Jim Lorch on here a little bit ago, and he's probably up in Lapeer with me. But he did a transaction where he wanted that relationship. His client wanted the relationship, and I coached him all the way through. So those options and that teamwork that we can do together is out there as an answer. It just depends. Certainly, I wouldn't want a client who's a doctor, who's an attorney, who's got a professional business. I wouldn't want them to feel that you're not taking care of them. So that's really where that teamwork comes in together. I'm just part of your team, part of your realtor team. And as I grow the commercial division, there will be more. So this is a slide just about commercial banker, Coldwell Banker commercial. We can certainly, Darwin, change this up for, forget I said that. It's the other professional side, or we would use the Century 21. And then I just go into what I've done, just boasting of that team portion. Now, Century 21 or Coldwell Banker professionals all have that Real Source, Circle Picks, Realtor.com, and Zillow.com. It's really important to remember that that audience that looks at all of that are not really commercial brokers. It's important to remember that in marketing properties, you're working for the seller or even buyer, and you want to give them what they can't get somewhere else. And even though Real Comp or whatever MLS is out there says commercial, 90% of commercial brokerage don't even subscribe. So if that's the only place you're putting it, you're not going to see it. And that's a key. On the commercial premier side, There's a commercial dash, goes into CBC worldwide, goes into, it's called Brevitas. Brevitas is used more outside of Michigan brokerage than around here, but it is national and it is well used in other parts of the country. So your listings are seen. Commercial Board of Realtors is that commercial exchange. It's local. It's in the Flint area. You'll find a lot of commercial board of realtors, and you'll find properties listed there that you'll never find on Brevitas. You'll never find them in RealComp on an MLS. You'll never find them in RealNext or Commercial Edge. It is truly a, I don't want to call it a marketing shotgun approach, but it has to be a very strategic market saturation approach that we have that others just don't. Any of those local brokerages, Capitani, Signature, they don't have CBC worldwide at all.
I think that, Peggy, here's a real key point of, well, a point of differentiation. As a residential agent, why I should work with you in the commercial department, the commercial brand, is the number of tools and the amount of exposure that you can provide. And I know that we've got evidence, but I'm sure you'll talk about that hopefully before the end.
Yeah, so Commercial Board of Realtors gives us CPICS, Catalyst, Commercial Exchange. I love this one, Michigan Economic Development, and the Michigan CCIM chapter. CCIM is a certification primarily for office, but it is a commercial certification, again, international exposure. Coldwell Banker Commercial boasts that it has more CCIMs under its belt than any other brokerage, which is kind of interesting. So here's the key right here, Darwin. I think this is the one you're looking for. This one came out of Gen Blue in that session. And the key up here on the top is subscription services. And I will tell you, 4 years ago when I got into commercial, CoStar was $1,400 a month. It only serviced the Metro Detroit area, and you had to subscribe, or you would never find or be able to market your clients properly. People who are on CoStar are not on RealComp. They're not part of, I want to say, full brokerage. And even with CPICS, Commercial Board of Realtors, when you see a commercial agent's signature, if it says sales associate, that means they're a licensed realtor and they've passed the exam, but they're not part of a board. So now you're going to ask me, well, then they're not part of the National Association of Realtors? No, they're not. Are they bound by a code of ethics? No, they're not. They can show properties and they can keep properties in-house and get both sides of the deal and not cooperate with anybody else. So I only say that because, you know, from the outside, everybody looks in and says, oh, wow, that's easy. I would beg to differ how easy it is, for sure. But CoStar and LoopNet, and then Lands of America, one that's not in here is down at the bottom is Crexi. So what I like as a Crexi Pro is it gives me the actual name, phone number, everything of who's looking at my commercial properties. So when I properly time block, I can go into them. But look at all of these areas that CBC puts out to. It's huge. And then when you look at the property and you ask that question of, what are my client requirements? What kind of a property is it? When you look at commercial, it's all about income flow. It's about, does that property provide income for my investment? Right now, with the stock market and the market not doing so well, you'll find people who are, I call it parking their money in real estate. There's a term called a cap rate that says, okay, if I invest in this property, then I will get a 6% return on my investment. So there's a lot of CVS's, there's a lot of Dollar Generals, there's a lot of Rite Aids, there's a lot of properties out there that are under a lease, and they're only yielding 6%. Even multifamily, you might find 40 to 60 unit multifamily that is only yielding 6%. So we'll see if those cap rates go up with interest or not. If a property is vacant, a commercial lender will never lend on it for an investor. So you might have a premium property, but if it's vacant, how easy is it to get tenants? How easy is it to get somebody in there? So there's a lot of different avenues, a lot of different questions to take a look at. And it's not just comps, right? It's 50% of that phone call I was just on was multifamily. 50% of multifamily right now is unpriced. They're just waiting to see what the market will bear and what that cap rate will be. And multifamily and industrial right now are the two hottest kinds of commercial real estate out there. Industrial has been cannibalized, so to speak, with all of the cannabis. And we've lost a lot of our buildings to that industry. So it's a lot of development going on in industrial to bring big companies to Detroit, to Michigan. So it's an election day. We'll see if things get better for companies to come and for people to be employed and brought here so they can buy houses. So there's a lot more analysis. There's a lot more to it. It's not just take a listing and I don't say that derogatory. We all as realtors work very hard for our sellers and for our buyers. There's just a level of difference. It's a different, I don't even want to say skill set, but it's a different set of tools in order to do that 100% the way our clients.
Peggy, I would throw out to help discern this. I had a number of years back an assisted living center that was a 1,600 square foot ranch that then they added on I think another 900 square feet. It was on 10 acres. It had a pole barn, and it's, a lot of people go, where are the comps for this? Well, that's the whole thing. There aren't any comps for something like that. And I know you came right out and you said, yep, it's about the value. It's the money, it's the finances. It's a different beast. And I think it's a key part as we're going through this, that if you decide that you want to get involved in this, you got to get involved highly. Otherwise, it's probably just a referral. Because it's such a different beast from residential real estate.
It's a beast for sure. I am working with Erin is a newer agent that came on board in our office, and being a newer agent, she didn't have a book of business yet, right? She didn't have all of that. and I needed some help. So we are going through, I don't want to call it a beta, but we're going through a process of teaching her. She shadows me, like a mentorship. Took her out to a couple of industrial buildings yesterday, and highly inquisitive, all of that. But it's hard. Anybody in commercial will tell you it's going to take a year or longer, a year or longer, because I'm closing deals right now that I've been working on for over a year, in order for the money to start to flow. And it's business networking, it's chamber involvement, it's, yeah.
So Peggy, we're about 3.5 minutes left. Is there any key things, or would you be ready for a couple of questions?
I'm ready for questions. I hope this all helps everybody.
Yeah, so one that has popped up in the chat room, this is from Holly up there where you're at today. So if we have an opportunity to list a commercial building, do we just refer it to the commercial premier and get a referral from them? What's how do people work with the commercial department?
Okay, so I put together a referral opportunity program a year ago. Yeah, a year ago. And that referral program gives you 3 options. 25% referral is, Peg, here's the deal. I want to do an introduction. I want to hand it over to you so that I can stay focused on my business. Peg, here's the deal. It's for my family. I'd like to stay very closely involved with this relationship. That is a 50-50 deal. Or it's a, hey, I've got this. I just need you to hold my hand along the way. That's a 25% deal in the other direction. So, and those three seem to be working very well. If an agent is far away, the 50-50 works well, because I need somebody to show that property, work with that property, make sure everything is handled professionally like it should be.
And I think the big key is that one, if we lack expertise, we need to get somebody involved who's got that. 2, a full understanding of the amount of exposure that you lack if we don't work with the commercial department. Okay. And then the third part of it is simply the lack of knowledge of what the differences are between commercial and residential. Commercial, there's actually commercial forms that are different from what we've got. So, and of course, going back to the aspect of the expertise. So bringing that individual who brings the expertise, and that way we're living up to the code of ethics. You know what, Peggy, I'd actually throw a 4th one out. Okay. The vultures that you have to work with, right? So I'm gonna key you up, and you can say whatever you want afterward. But I just I know Peggy seems kind of what's the word? Well, she is. She's sweet, but let me tell you, she's like a mama bear. She will protect, and so don't take her sweetness or meekness. She deals with those guys and knows how to deal with them correctly. So.
And that is absolutely true, Darrell. In all of my careers, I've been in the...
Peggy, you got to talk a little bit more directly to your microphone.
Okay, is that better?
Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah. So in all of my careers, this is my 2nd one, male dominant. When you look at that commercial real estate brokerage, is definitely male dominated. And I had this one gentleman from Newmark, Frank, and I avoided him recently on a listing, and I went to his side partner because I didn't want to deal with him. But he actually texted me and said, I do this job full time. If you really want to serve your seller, you should just hand it over to me and I'll take care of them. And so I implemented my 24-hour rule. Being the referee you are, Darwin, right?
Yeah,
Those high school sporting games. We began raising 3 girls. We began to implement the 24-hour rule. In other words, don't say what's on your mind right away to the coach or the ref or whatever, because you don't want it to impact your children. So 24-hour rule went in, and the next day I said to him, I said, gee, I grew an IT consulting firm. I sold that business. I did all of Signature Associates, service and support it in the 90s. And in doing this business for now over 3 years, nobody's called me incompetent. And he replied back really fast, oh, no, 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 I didn't say you were incompetent. And I just left it at that. But, you know, you got to stand strong and yeah.
let them know that, hey, I can play with you big boys. Don't think you can get away with that. So a great question here from Shelley, who's on our gold team. If we work with the commercial department, how is it branded if we are C21? So how would you work cooperatively being cross-branded?
It is all branded as Coldwell Banker Commercial. And I answer that way because it's amazing how many agents have referred me. And I will mention competitors. Howard Hanna, Remax, Real Estate One, another off real estate company. They all know and understand that Coldwell Banker Commercial is how it's listed. They don't, and many of them were referring to Transwestern or NAI Farbman or whatever, and not getting the service for their customers that they needed. So I'm going to throw this out there. We all work for a great brokerage, right? We all know that. Do your clients really care what brokerage you work for? Or are they hiring you as a professional realtor? I throw that out there because the brand and the marketing and Coldwell Banker Commercial is the reach that you're getting. You're not getting co-branded at that point.
Hey,
And
Peggy,
I think you
answer-
wanted to jump in on this.
Yeah, I sat on my hands long enough, but I would just tell this group and please help us, please help us spread the word, because I think what everybody needs to know is Coldwell Banker Commercial is a completely separate brand that specializes in all things commercial. I mean, it is even a separate brand from Coldwell Banker. It's a separate entity within our organization. And I think Peggy would agree, we need that specialization because of the sophistication of, a commercial transaction. You guys should all know, and maybe Peggy, this is something you send out to everybody on the call after, but, Coldwell Banker Commercial, and we own Premier, is a top 10 commercial company in the world.
It is.
So it's even different than Coldwell Banker. It's part of the umbrella, and then obviously it's part of our umbrella locally. So just know that and feel that it wouldn't be branded Coldwell Banker, wouldn't be branded Century 21. It's Coldwell Banker Commercial Premier, and you get the whole breadth and depth of services. The other thing, Darwin, I was listening to you as you were talking, and then I'll shut up because I know we're in OT. Was the comment about, how would it work? Why would I think so much of what we do, guys, is in our heart, and it's about what's best for our clients. And how can we be the spoke or the hub that brings everything at the highest level to our clients? And Peggy's done many deals for me commercially. She's done many deals for the company, and I wouldn't even fathom going any other place because of her expertise. I mean, I can hack my way around a commercial transaction, but if I really want to service my client, I'm gonna give them Peggy to deliver it. And so I think that is, maybe just keep that as something to consider. You know, what is best for your seller, buyer, tenant, landlord relationship going forward. So Darwin, but I did want to add that about the branding.
Yeah,
Sorry to
awesome.
interrupt.
Yeah, no problem. Glad you jumped in. And one last question that's popped through here is the commission different?
Is the commission different? Not usually. You'll see, sometimes you'll see a very tough seller list something at like 4%. Very tough when you have commercial brokerage. I've only
Peggy, you
run
need to
into
go
one
back
of
into your
those.
microphone again.
Oh, sorry. I've only run into one of those, but it's pretty much the same. It's pretty much standard 6%, 3% on buyer side, 3% on listing side. And that's pretty fair across the board. The one difference, and you know, we talked about office to begin with a little bit. Here's the biggest difference, and I think the easiest way to begin, and that is being a tenant rep. If you think of a lease on a house, you might get, what, Darwin, like the first month's rent or something?
Half of the first month's rent.
Yeah, so I am sitting on, I'm just waiting on the check now, but I just closed a lease for a collision company, 5-year lease worth almost $500,000. So 3% of that 500,000 is what you get as a commercial agent.
Because
good
it
money.
covers the entire lease, not just the first year. It's the
It's
full deal that you
aggregate.
put together.
Yep, it's aggregate, and that's where those commercial forms are so different. That purchase agreement, that letter of intent, that lease documents all of those portions differently.
So guys, being respectful of your time, knowing that we're already into OT, I'm going to say, Peggy, if you would throw out your phone number, email address, how would they reach you?
You know what? I'm on Ring Central like everybody else in the company. All of my contact information is there, or I can just throw up my email address in the chat here.
Yeah, let's do that. And by the way, if you look her up, it is Feltner, Feltner, just like it is with her name under the photo there. If you've got additional questions, you want to reach out to Peggy directly. If you're going, hey, maybe I should, maybe I shouldn't, I'll just throw that. We had a Century 21 agent who had worked with some, I'll call them, and again, this is not demeaning. I want to be able to share what we actually had happen, but worked with some residential real estate agents, and the deal didn't come together. They referred it over to Peggy, and I believe it was in less than 2 weeks, they had a full price offer on this property, which is over $1 million in sales. So obviously we're not going to say too much about it, but I want you to know that there is a huge difference in regards to the amount of exposure and marketing that occurs because of that. So my guidance, look, unless if it's a flat out piece of real estate, maybe it's retail and there's no ongoing business in it, you might consider doing that on your own. But if there's anything much more than that, I think you absolutely need to take a look at getting the commercial department involved, even if it's a point where it's let's do a 50-50 so Peggy can guide me, work with me, help me get that additional exposure, and I have all of the expertise that comes along behind that. So Peggy Feltner, thank you. You guys are awesome. Please reach out to her if you need her, but we'll wrap that up to another Hot Topic Tuesday. Reminder, you can't see that, but we've got, again, Ignite. And the last part, by the way, knock board people, there is nominations that are out now, and I wouldn't doubt if any of the other boards have the same thing going out, but Distinguished Service Award, Humanitarian of the Year Award, the Rookie of the Year, and Affiliate of the Year, and even for Broker Manager of the Year, which our own Chris Hendricks was awarded that last year for Knockboard. If you have those, please put those nomination forms out. They need to be to Knockboard before the end of November. So guys, thank you so much. There's another Hot Topic Tuesday. See you on Thursday at the Genesis Conference Center at Ignite. Have a great one. Bye-bye.